Good evening. Um, I'm starting something new here. Well, yeah, it's new. I guess it's new. Um, I'm calling it notes to myself because that's what I have been doing is writing. I'll be at work and I'll be doing something, and as I can while I'm working, I can just sort of think about things, and then it's like sometimes just stuff like pops into my head, and it's like, oh, that's important. Well, I'll write it down. I'll email it to myself. Sometimes I get home and I go, that was dumb. And sometimes I say, yeah, that's definitely worth talking about. I suppose I should be very positive and say it's all worth talking about. But I think I've done something similar to this already. I don't think everybody's watching all the videos, so hopefully this one will catch your attention and not the other ones. Um, I'm calling this one Picking Up the Pieces. Um, and I'm going to read, I have two short paragraphs here, and I'm going to comment on each one. So it's basically sort of the topic, and then I'm going to comment on it and sort of elaborate on it. And hopefully that will take me less time. All right. Um, I said, part of the autistic journey, when late diagnosed, is tearing down the artificial facade that you've constructed, discovering the remnants of your true autistic nature, and remodeling your behaviors. In some ways, you're starting over with your life. Uh, and that's starting over with your life. I mean, I'm not bottle feeding and using a diaper, so it's not really starting over with my life. I understand that. It's a little bit of a, I don't know, overstated, I guess. But I did say in some ways, so I will go back to that part and say yes, in some ways. And this is what it feels like now. Uh, and which led to the next paragraph after this. But um, you at least in my experience, what I'm finding out is that for 59 years, going on 60 years, well, let's see, September, October, November, December, January. So 59 years, 4 months into my life, um, I that part of my life was lived based on the expectations of what I thought I was supposed to be. Okay, so that sometimes you're doing what you want to do, sometimes you're not. I'd say, and I won't say most of the. I won't. I can't. I don't know yet. I haven't been able to really step back and see what percentage was what. But you. But there's always an underlying understanding or knowing that you are performing. You're. I don't know how. I don't know to what degree this is true with everybody. This is kind of another confusing thing about the darn journey is that what is normal, what's something everybody does, and what's something that's a very autistic-like trait. Um, wow, there's a big question there to answer, and that's probably the crux of the whole journey is sorting all this out and saying, okay, this is not. Well, I'm not just looking for what is autistic. I'm looking, well, what what is my true nature? What is my true tendency? What is it that I, Tom, want to do? Not what I, Tom, ever am trying to please everyone else and do what they want, which is oh, 100% of what my life was. And you start off as a kid, and I think as all kids are that way to some degree. You know, you're satisfying the expectations that are put upon you. Maybe not. That's what I was. And I guess as I'm thinking about it, no. You know, there's a lot of parents that are pretty. I mean, I don't think my parents were like sitting there. Well, maybe there were. My dad was. My mom wasn't. You know, and maybe my mom was more than I think. These are all the kind of things that are, you know. So anyway, in that whole mess, I've got to try to sort out what did I want? What were my natural tendencies? And I have a good enough memory that I go back to. I can remember what the emotions and things were. I mean, or at least that side of it that I knew well enough that, you know, this was an expectation that I'm living. This was not Tom. I mean, I think I would have been a real defiant little hell if I had lived my true nature. And maybe I was. Maybe that was one of the things that was stamped out pretty quick. That's what my father was. And maybe even my mother to a certain degree. I mean, parents are like that. They see something that they think is not a socially appropriate behavior. They're going to say, you know, well, we got to correct that. No clue that I may have been expressing myself in a different way because I was autistic. I mean, that's the tragedy of the whole neurodiverse experience. I think is that you know, it's when a child is trying to live true to their nature, and that's what I think children. That's what I think everyone should be doing. I mean, yeah, if you turn out to be a real terrible person, I guess you're following your nature. But I don't know. I think we pervert and we create something worse, I think, when we try to cage it or restrain it or suppress it or whatever, you know. I don't know that you can. It took me 59 years. Yeah, you know, I guess you could say they almost won, or if you want to look at it that way, you know, I could have run my whole life. I could have. I think there's a lot of autistic people that do. That's one reason I'm grateful. I can be bitter. I could be. I could say, crap, 59 years old, almost 6 years old. Well, thank you very much, life, you know. But I don't really feel that way. I wish I was diagnosed earlier. I wish a lot. I mean, a lot. I wish, God, you know, if I had been even in my 20s, mid 20s. I mean, I was still struggling, and if I could have found it out then, if I could have addressed, I mean, just very basic things like career choice and realizing I'd get into something, realizing that maybe this isn't a good idea to go into, maybe this is a better idea to go into. Maybe I'm experiencing this about what I'm doing not because I don't like what I'm doing, but it's because of being overwhelmed or needing breaks or, you know, some adaptation that I'm not doing and giving myself. I mean, on top of it all, it's just looking at myself as trying to be neurotypical. You can't be a very happy camper. I don't think you can be very successful in things when you're faking it. I mean, it's like if you're, and I say faking it, I mean, I originally, how much time have I got here? Oh man, I originally was going to be a pilot in airlines. I had 200 hours logged at private pilots, you know, single engine land, aircraft, fixed wing. Well, actually, it was fixed wing, but I think I had an endorsement for a variable pitch prop, and that's about it. Cessna 182 was the largest aircraft I flew. I've had some time at a twin, but nothing to speak of. Anyway, so I mean that's where I was going, and I got out of it because, well, various reasons. I won't go into it, but I mean, it would have been something. Looking back in a way, I'm kind of glad I did, but it would have gotten me to that level of income. It would have gotten me to that level of professionalism. I could have probably done more with my life with that, at least in the aviation field. Than I mean, I could have gone airline transport, could have gone corporate, could have gone, other directions other than I was going airlines or, any commercial airline. All that stuff, all that would have changed. But I remember so clearly, I think it was, well, if I remember clearly, I know exactly what it was. I remember the situation, I remember when it happened clearly, but I'm not sure. I think my age was approximately, probably a sophomore in college, in high school. And my parents saying, okay, I mean, it really was like this too. It's like, you need to decide what you want to do with your life. And of course, I kind of thought they meant like right now. I mean, I really did. Looking back on that, I guess that would be called a miscommunication there. God, my whole life it's just littered with miscommunication. Anyway, I thought this paragraph thing. Now my cat's gonna bother me. What do you want? He knows. I'm really not mean to him. We have an understanding though. Yeah, he claws me to death. Yeah, if I don't do what he wants. Okay, but anyway, so so I can look back to every memory, because, and I always thought I always felt before I knew about the autism, that it was the oppression from my father. Now I don't, that was definitely a part of it, but I think it was also the disconnect feeling I had of being autistic with everything also. Oh, gosh, the memories. So anyway, what I had said there was that, the journey of diagnosis, tearing down the artificial facade that you've constructed, discovering the remnants of your true autistic nature, which is true. You go back, and I mean, there's a surprising amount of traits that exist still, but I think because of the suppression of those and the suppression of the whole your whole self-concept, the way you feel about yourself, the way you suppress emotions and feelings in order to mask. Moving on to the next one. But anyway, that's, you kind of have to start over with your life in those respects and all those things that you have done in a forced way or in a way that wasn't true to your nature. So this next part, gosh. Actually, I'm going to do this as a second video. We're 14 minutes in now. So that was the first part, picking up the pieces. I'll do picking up the pieces part 2 coming up right after this. Thank you.